an uncommon question. Is my car insurance tax deductible? Let's dive in. There's actually more to that than can be unpacked, where you actually have more deductions than you think. Now, I got to put my asterisk because I am not a CPA, although I did grow up in a household with a CPA for the last 30 plus years, so I have a little bit of experience, but I'm going to read this from a Progressive article so that they get the flack if you guys don't like what is said, because there's a lot of trolls on here that will say, you're not a tax consultant, you should never talk about this. Personal experience, if you use your car for business use, commonly that's tax deductible. Pretty much everything involved with your car. Now, seek your own advice from a tax consultant, but essentially you can, in most cases, deduct it. Now, if you're only using a percentage of your car for business and a percentage for personal, then you're probably only going to be carried over the percentage that you use of it. Important note, you don't need to itemize your deductions in order to claim business-related vehicle expenses. These deductions can generally be claimed on a Schedule C profit or loss from business. And they're essentially saying if you need to itemize, you don't necessarily have to. There's a few different scenarios. So if you're doing it to go to work, that doesn't count. It has to be business use. And business use does not count driving to and from a job. If you're working from different locations and you're paying your own insurance and the job requires you to do certain things and you're paying your own way, then that's a little bit more skewed to business use, but you have to talk with the company you work for to make sure they're not claiming you on their taxes for that same exact scenario. Now, there's two options that you have to claim this. You can claim all of it and just say this is 100% business and I'm claiming the insurance and the whole car tax deduction, and there's limits, there's certain size limits of the car and all that to claim the car, but as far as the insurance goes, you can do that. Or you can do the other way, which is do the per mileage, where you're going to itemize and say, I drove X amount of miles for business, and you can claim a % per mile off of your taxes. Now, that changes every year, so you have to find out what the actual rate is for your specific state. So which one should you choose? It's really whichever one gives you the most back. If you're going to itemize and claim the mileage, you got to think of a couple additional things that you can claim as well. How much was the fuel if I'm going to itemize the fuel? How much was my car repairs if it's strictly for business? You can claim a percentage of that. How much is the depreciation that I have on my car? Some states don't allow that, but most of them do. The registration, the cost of that, and getting the title and everything processed. And then any tolls or parking fees that you have to pay for those locations that you drive to. Those are all additional expenses that you can take off of your taxes in the time that you claim that. So what should you do to prepare is hold on to receipts. Anytime you're going to think that you may itemize it, track the receipts. There are apps that you can download that can track the mileage for business. If you're using a payroll software, then you usually have that involved, or you can just download a free version, or just write it on a piece of paper. Take a picture every time you get gas, and whenever it's for business, track the mileage that you're going to put on the vehicle. Essentially, just keep records. If you keep a good record of what you're using the car and when it's for business use, you can determine whether it's worth it to file the way where you're going to itemize, or just file the car in general. Once again, if you're not sure, that's actually called a Type C filing if you're going to itemize it, and if you're unfamiliar with what exactly you can do in your state, it does make sense to talk to your licensed tax consultant. Hopefully this was helpful. I'm Mark with Think Insurance. I'll see you in the next one.